I'm founder of Be Inspired and author of Learning Through Movement and Active Play in the Early Years. Now, I wanted to talk to you about creating an enabling environment in your home. Now, what is an enabling environment? An enabling environment is an environment that encourages children to want to play meaningfully. It sparks their excitement, their imagination, their interests, and it encourages them to be more active, to learn, develop and grow. So we think with young children we should be entertaining them a lot, but actually what's really important is they're engaged in child-led activities a lot. What is a child-led activity? It's an activity that they choose to do. How we can encourage them to be involved in meaningful child-led activities is by creating a good enabling environment. So I'm going to talk to you about how to create this in your own home and why. So an enabling environment it is divided into three factors. There's the emotional environment, the indoor environment and the outdoor environment. The emotional environment, that is where children feel safe and secure. It's an environment where they feel everyone is happy and it makes them feel happy. If a child is happy, safe and secure, they're more likely to want to try things and explore, and there'll be more enjoyment and they'll be happier. Don't get me wrong, there's obviously often times where we're struggling, and obviously children can pick up on this, but it's about communicating with them. I will be doing another video around communicating with your children through tough times, and hopefully that can help you figure out how to deal with your emotions and their emotions. So the emotional environment is very dependent on you and your relationship with your children. The indoor environment, the physical environment. What is the physical environment? That is made up of the indoor and the outdoor environment. It's actually looking at different spaces and what the different spaces are for. For example, book corner, IT corner, physical activity area, that kind of thing. Also thinking about creating order. So maybe not having too much clutter, not having too many things out for children to choose from. For example, in their bedroom, take away some of their toys. So if you've actually got storage space, put some of their toys away. And the idea is then you create an environment where they've only got a few things to choose from, and you could put it in baskets and shelves that's accessible for them. And they can then go and choose what they want to do. There's not too many choices. It's not too crazy. And then they also learn to value the space, so then they put their toys away, so that you can teach them that. So you're not constantly picking up after them, and they're learning to value their belongings and their space. And they're learning to be independent. The physical space is creating obvious places for different things. So for example, the bedroom in the indoor area. Their bedroom should be a calm, relaxed space. There should be where they sleep, they get dressed, and then maybe it could be the book corner. So it could be the area where they go to read and relax a bit. It could be the area where they just partake in more calm activities. So maybe a bit of carpet time, drawing, things like that. It's up to you how you would want to use that space, but it also depends on how many other spaces you've got in your home that you could create different meanings for different spaces. If you can, like the toys, if you can take away some of their clothing and just give them some of their clothing and put them in places where they can access them, then in the morning, let them choose what they want to wear, or even better, let them dress themselves. Learning to dress is a very important skill that they need to learn, and the sooner you give them the opportunity to learn it, the sooner they're going to be more independent and do it themselves. And then you can also teach them how to put their clothing away at the end of the day. Where do things go? Where do they put everything? Where's the wash basket? This goes in the drawer, that goes there. Just teaching them this a few times, it's amazing how quickly they will learn. Also, make sure that you set up some ground rules, what's expected of them, and actually what's expected of all of you. But do it together. Come up with ways to behave, what they should do, what they shouldn't do. Because if children really understand what's expected of them, then they can relax and they can get on with it. So just setting these things up straight away makes life a lot easier for you and for your children. And this isn't just for lockdown, this is in general. You know, just children need to understand what is and isn't expected of them. And the important thing is you need to stick with that. So you've got to stick with a plan, because otherwise it gets confusing for them. So that was your bedroom, and then going to the lounge. If you've just got one lounge, your lounge could be the physical activity area and the IT area. Please try and keep IT out of the bedroom. Once again, that should be the safe sleeping space or the calm space. If you've got more than one living living areas, or an extra spare room, then maybe that could be the physical activity area or the IT area. But actually have allocated spaces and time when they can be involved in these different areas. Ultimately, you want them to choose what they do, but they don't have to always have the choice. So, for example, they can choose to go for screen time, but screen time's only available between this time and that time during the day. So if they want to do it, that's when they can choose to do it. But they might end up doing something else, and then they'll have to wait till the next day. Physical activity, that could include screen time, so they could be doing whatever. There's so many free activities now online, they could partake in a lot of those. And the kitchen, what a great place to teach children about independence and development of fine motor skills. Now, obviously it's really good to get children to be involved in chores like cleaning, washing up, all that kind of thing. But actually what you could also do is, if you can make as much of your kitchen accessible to your children, you can give them tasks like fetching certain ingredients for cooking certain things and putting them away afterwards. You could maybe every week have certain things on your planned menu on particular days that your child makes. You'd be surprised how much a child can do. A 3-year-old could cook a scrambled egg. If you do it with them a few times, first of all, means you can do something, but make sure you keep an eye on them if they're going to be cooking on the stove. So it's about giving them responsibilities that you might be scared about. But if you're there and you make sure that they're safe, then they're going to listen to what you've explained to them. They're going to watch what you do. They are going to learn independence, and these are really important skills for your children. I have written an accompanying article, so you can also go there. There's bullet points of various ideas and options that you could do in the kitchen, in the bedroom, in the garden, etc. So do have a look at that, because there are bullet points. Now, carrying on with indoor environment, the dining area is a great place for the family to come together, to spend lovely communicating time together. You can have great discussions over food. Everybody needs to eat, so it's a perfect time to have a break, to come together. You can have nice discussions about food, but then of course anything else. You can talk about who's feeling what. You can talk about what you've all achieved that day, those kind of things. It's a really good way to check in with each other. And also do think about diet, and do talk to your children about diet. And just a top tip, don't use food as a reward. It's never a good way to reward a child. Teach a child to take pride in what they're doing. So teach your child to by asking them questions. How do you think you did? Did you do well? That kind of thing. You're teaching a child to self-reward, which is brilliant for the rest of their lives, because they can then learn to really feel good about themselves when they've achieved. They won't always need to get recognition from someone else. Now, going to the outdoor area, if you're lucky enough to have a garden, great, get your children out there. But once again, maybe create different areas. So you can have the den, you can have the water play area, you can have the, if you can get some sand, a sand play area, you can have a role play area, all types of areas, which will then make your child more interested and engaged, because there's things already set up. And so then they can go to different areas and do different things. It means you don't have to keep on giving them new ideas all the time. Also, you don't set all these areas up at the same time, and then when you find your child is getting a bit bored with a certain area, then you mix it up, you put something else in there. So it just means you take a bit of time to get different spaces set up, and every now and then obviously you rotate those areas, but it means you don't constantly have to be entertaining them. They can choose which of these areas they want to partake in. And also make sure that there is an area that a child can rest and relax and reflect, especially if they have siblings, because sometimes it's really good for a child to just have a bit of time away to just chill and not be harassed by anyone else. And also you have to learn that these areas should have no distractions, and you shouldn't go and distract them either, because it's sometimes quite difficult to just leave children to get on with their own thing. But actually it's really good to be able to take a step back and let them do that, unless you do feel like they're struggling. Now, if you can, without distracting them, when they're being active, when they're playing, when they're doing certain things, try and take a little bit of time to just observe them. So stand back, don't distract them, and observe them. See if they're happy, see if they're engaged, see if they are doing the task at hand. If you feel like any of those are not happening, then have a think. Maybe the task is a little bit hard. Maybe they're bored. Maybe it's time to change the toys or the resources or whatever you've set up for them. Maybe it's something that is just not engaging them. So maybe you need to throw in a bit of their imagination, instead of it just being a game about running, it could be about bunny rabbits running, or things like that, where they love bunny rabbits, so it's all about the bunny rabbits, things like that. It's just making slight little tweaks that can engage a child again. In early years, those of us that work with children, we do a lot of active stories, we use animals, we use everything's about imagination, because it's just so much more interesting and engaging for children. Now, if you don't have an outdoor area, if you can get the children out as much as you can, to as many different outdoor spaces as you can, and that's full of nature, and then you can either encourage them to go off and explore, obviously within eyeshot. If they don't want to do that, then set them challenges. Go and find a whole lot of 10 sticks. Go and see how many different kind of leaves you can find. How many birds can you spot? Things like that. Because then they will go off and explore and try things and see new things. If you absolutely can't get out, then if that's just absolutely not possible, then try and bring nature in. So if you can physically get some natural things like sticks and rocks and whatever you can, awesome. If not, then create active stories about animals. If you want some screen time, do things where you're showing them about different natural phenomena or different environments. Just do things that really, really teach them and encourage them and keep them engaged with the environment. So yeah, it's just about setting up, taking a little bit of time to set up an environment that is going to keep your children entertained, learning, exploring and growing. And then hopefully through this, it'll help keep you freed up a bit more and sane through bringing up your young children like this. Thank you. I hope you found that useful, and please have a look at all my other videos.